my mother tells me this story about how she was in Hawaii scuba diving, and it was an instructor class, or a class to teach people how to scuba dive. And she's, with an instructor under the water, and they're sharing air. So the guy goes to hand her the air because it's her turn, and as she goes to breathe from the air, he yanks it out of her mouth. So, needlessly to say, as she starts drowning, freaks out, pops out of her body, watches herself. Mind you, this is one of the same occurrences that's happened to a Marine who got shot in the head. Also happened to my brother before in one of his near-death experiences where he popped out of his body, saw himself dying. And I'm one of the cases where I've had several ODs where I see nothing but black. Now that's scary. It's scary for me to be a believer my whole life and to think, did I cross over far enough? Am I good enough for an afterlife? Did I screw up and quench the Holy Spirit of God enough to where I'll never be allowed into the kingdom of heaven? Well, in my personal experience with having faith in God, just in my personal experience, I've seen that God will not prove to you that He exists because you ask Him to. Don't test the Lord, I believe they put it as in the scriptures. So, I think Satan tries to test Jesus in the same way, he tempts Jesus to show him magic in order to know that God's real, and God's Jesus at the moment in time that, supposedly he's part of the Trinity, right? So, he's telling Satan, no, thou shalt not tempt me. And, that's something that I'm dealing with in my life, that you can't just tempt God to show himself. You can't just expect to get to heaven on your own action, because on your own action you never would have been able to make it in the beginning. And there is like an easy way to interpret this as occult-like thinking, when in reality, in my opinion, there's many ways to get to the kingdom of heaven, and there's very few people that will get there. That's what's said in the Holy Scriptures. I don't know if it's symbolism. I don't know if it's stories that we all adhere to. I know that I believe in it in a more foo-foo sense of magic and hope and wisdom, and that, yes, money is the root of all evil because it doesn't exist when you're born. It's created. That being said, how many governments are there on earth that are evil right now? Is there one that's good? I would like to think the one I'm in is doing good. I'd like to think that we aren't evil. And I get it. Yes, there's evil factions within every representation of government. Always. There's going to be an evil faction with every representation of government. That doesn't mean that you're participating in cult-like thinking because you have a belief system that helps you get through life. And also, just in my opinion again, the denominational separation of religion is the one thing that's going to stop everybody from believing and being a community. So if you can separate denomination, also separate opinion to the point of fighting and death, which that's another thing in its own, is can we be this species, have differing opinions in the same government, and still be able to talk to one another, work with one another? It goes so much further than that too, obviously, when we're talking everyday life and how people are perceived, how you treat them. That stuff matters, if you're a believer or not, atheist or not, heaven or not, hell or not, any of that stuff. Like, in a community where we place such high importance, or even just in a society where we place such high importance on worshiping something,